Welcome to the Good Business Project. What does it mean to be a good business owner or to have a good business? How do you know your business is actually doing good? Well, I'm Christine and I was raised in small businesses and have built businesses of my own since those playground days selling bracelets. I since have grown businesses from the ground up, from my own brick and mortar to service-based businesses and online. This podcast is for you if you are ready to kick off those trends, sort through all the advice and noise, and build a business that truly works best for you. Let's dive into today's episode and continue the journey together to be the business owner that you want to be.
Hey there, welcome to episode 2. Today we're going to talk about the foundation of good decision making. And the reason I am diving into this is because I haven't always been self-aware about whether I'm making good decisions or bad decisions in my business. So let me ask you, when was the last time you made a really good business decision? When was the last time you made a not so good business decision? Maybe me asking you these questions is helping you realize that this is not something you normally ask yourself. You may not be aware where you're making decisions from a good place or a bad place. So let me share a little story with you. Back in April of last year, I purchased a master resale rights course at 1:30 in the morning. I'm not sure any good decisions are made at 1:30 in the morning, but I actually don't regret buying that particular course, but rather the implications that happen after. So I bought that course. Let me give you a little backstory about April of last year. I had a 6-month-old newborn baby, my 4th baby. We had just moved into a house. For the first time, we were able to buy a house. We had our wedding venue, which was hitting its peak and getting very busy, and there was a lot of financial pressure there as well. We had our full-time wedding photography business as well, and I was 6 months into a brand new role as a director of marketing for an online e-commerce company. And that particular day, I received an $11,000 tax bill. And so here I am, exhausted, clearly have way too much on my plate, and I get an $11,000 tax bill. And I was feeling like, my goodness, like, could life get any more bombarded and I'm still not winning? I'm still getting hit with surprise bills that I don't have the money to pay for. I'm working my tail end off, and yet I'm still getting hit with things like this that I don't have a way through. And so I bought this course. I do not regret buying this particular course because I had the intention of learning how to build a business online. And I truly was thinking of this podcast right here. I was thinking of, I know that I have had these desires for years, that I've had the desire of having an online business for minimally 5 years. So why couldn't I go ahead and do it? And I thought to myself, and I know you're like, what? You had all this on your plate, you had all this money, and you thought, start another business? Well, if this isn't typical like me, I don't know what is. Welcome, I'm Chrissy. I'm an Enneagram 8, if you know anything about that. But I thought to myself, I'm never going to have more time. I'm just going to get more things on my plate. I'm never going to create more white space in my life. I'm always going to chase more money. I'm always going to need another job. I'm always going to find something else. And I have all these desires in my heart, and I want to have an online business. I want to have a podcast. I want to be able to impact people. And I'm just going to keep adding more crap to my plate. And that was why I bought that course. I really had the right intention. And then my feed started feeding me what everybody was doing, reselling the course. And I started to see it. And as I started to dig into the course, I started to think, well, everybody else is selling this course and they're seeing like some amazing success. So I'm going to try it too. And what ended up happening is 9 weeks later, I'm like literally exhausting myself online, spending 5 hours a day with a newborn baby, with all these jobs, cramming in the crevices of my day, getting on my phone all the time to work on this business, reselling somebody else's products, when all the while I knew I have 14, 15 years of my own business experience. I know how to brand and build businesses. I have marketing experience. I'm a director of marketing by day. What am I doing selling someone else's course? So I got myself into this place where I was like, Chrissy, you need to reassess. Was this a good decision? Well, it was a good decision to buy the course because I learned a lot about funnels. I learned a lot about how to build a business online. And I have a lot of knowledge already that really compacted it. I'm like, I really don't regret buying the course. So where did the wheels fall off for me? And the truth is, the wheels fell off for me by deciding to resell the course because I knew that wasn't the path I needed. But because I was in a mental place where I was stressed or insecure, feeling pressured, I was tired, I was in a season, it felt easy and I was insecure. And so seeing everybody else doing it, I'm like, what the heck? I'm just going to do it. And for 9 weeks, I was hitting $0 days, working my tail end off. And it wasn't until I pulled back and I said, Chrissy, calm down, reassess. I was like, what problem can I solve? What problems do I see in the industry right now, where I'm at, the people that are following me, what are they asking for? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just film. And 2 hours later, I had this course, I had this product, and I had a $7,000 launch when I launched this product, sold it, took everything out of my store, burnt all my MRR, Master Resale Rights products to the ground, took them out and leaned on my own knowledge and my own creative abilities and made my own digital product. And I finally started seeing sales. So much so that now I have over 400 people, or 400 purchases, we'll say, in my offers. And I've been in this space in 7 months. The truth is, when I look back at good and bad decision making, I can see through that story where, okay, it was a pressured decision. And I'm going to walk you through some tips and steps of how to analyze and see if you're making good or bad decisions, the foundation of every good decision. And the truth of this is that it's a little simpler than you may think. There's more flags in your body and your mind than you may realize. But your state of mind is the first step into making better decisions. And so the first step I'm going to introduce you is tip number 1. I have 2 acronyms, SIP and HALT. SIP is stressed, insecure, or pressured. Are you stressed? Are you feeling insecure? And are you feeling any pressure? This is language you can use before you make a decision. So these are pausing acronyms, right? To ask yourself, okay, before I make this decision, before I buy this mentorship, before I buy this product, before I make this business change, before I hire this person, before I do anything, am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling insecure? Or am I feeling pressure? And getting honest with yourselves to make sure that you are making these decisions not to soothe any of those feelings, or like I always see it as like putting a binky in your mouth, like buying yourself time or just making the discomfort go away. Or are you really aligning yourself with your vision and your goals? So are you making this choice because you've not checked in with yourself and asked, are you stressed, insecure, or pressured? Or are you making it because it's truly in alignment with who you are and where you want to go? The second acronym is HALT, H-A-L-T. So am I hungry? Can I get an amen? Am I angry? Am I lonely? And am I tired? And the truth is, those 8 or 9 weeks that I was pushing these master resale rates courses, I was hungry, I was angry, I was lonely, and I was tired. I was stressed, I was insecure, and I was pressured. I was sipping and I was halting. I was not in a good place. These decisions were made when I was tired, when I was frustrated, and I was being reactive and not responsive. I was reacting from the voids and the things I was feeling, and I was not responding based off of what I want in my life. I needed to pause, address the root issue, which is what I did when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted after 8 or 9 weeks. I'm going to give up. I decided I actually took a break from social media. I did try to start exercising some. I worked on my water intake and eating, all while going through this process. I did what I needed to do to allow myself to pause, reflect on where I'm at. Where am I feeling these insecurities? What's the truth of the situation here? And how can I reassess? And then proceed from a healthier state of mind. So that's tip number 1, is pausing and checking yourself, using these acronyms SIP or HALT to allow yourself to reflect before making any of these decisions. That way, we're addressing any of the issues that are underlying that could affect. Now, before I move on, I want to show you, and I drew this like beautiful tree. Isn't it so great for you? So if you're on YouTube, you're going to be able to see this, but if you're listening on podcast, just listen up, okay? Envision a tree. At the root of the tree, you can see the roots going into the ground. And then at the top of the tree, you have all these branches going off. You guys have trees. You know what they look like. But here's the deal. On this tree, can multiple different kinds of fruit grow on this tree? No, you're not going to get an orange and then an apple or then a maple tree. It's going to be one kind of tree. And the truth is, at the root of your tree is your mind and your thought process. And so if you're showing up insecure and you're showing up with issues going on in your personal life, and you're not being self-aware of those when you come to your business inside of your tree, you are going to deflect in here. You're going to grow fruit in your business right now based off of the stress, the insecurities, and the pressure that you're feeling in your life. If you're not taking care of those things before you come here, you're going to grow a tree that bears fruit that you didn't want it to bear. You thought it was a different kind of tree. It is very important that we are pausing and we're not bringing this stuff into our businesses. And I see this all the time. I'm going to give you another example of I've had some people in leadership positions, in corporate positions, or high up in their business, maybe CEOs, that come into their business and they don't realize that they are deflecting what's going on in their personal life. Maybe at home, this man is not feeling valued in his marriage. His marriage is struggling. He's feeling ignored. He's feeling undermined. So then when he comes into his business, he goes into a staff meeting and he's now proving everywhere. He's trying to feel big. He's making decisions very kind of arrogantly. I'm just giving you an example here. And he had no idea that because he was not dealing with the root, those core insecurities, those core stressors that he's having, it's now impacting the decisions he's making in his leadership. And so it is so important at the base of every decision you make in your business that you are being self-aware and you're saying, am I showing up insecure? Am I bringing maybe what's going on in my marriage or in my family, with my parents, with my children? Am I bringing any of that into my decision making? Do I know who I am? Do I know my value and worth? Am I in a healthy place? Because those will come through and they will grow fruit in your tree that you did not expect to be there. Okay, so Now we can move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2, we want to anchor your decisions with clarity and intentionality. So empowered decisions are going to come from that clarity of who you are and what you want. And if you stick around with me long, you're going to know that I am pretty big on making sure that you have clarity on who you are, what's your identity. It's separate from your mission. It's separate from your roles. You are the 9 characteristics that you proclaim over yourself. I am creative. I am determined. I am passionate. I am loyal. I am wise. Those are who you are. You are not Chrissy the entrepreneur. You are not Chrissy the parent. Those are my roles in life, but my identity is who I am. I'll get on a whole tangent there, but knowing who I am is step 1. Knowing the second part of what my vision is in this space is really key in making good decisions. If you don't know where you're going or where your products are going or where your offers are going or what problems you're solving, you're not going to make good decisions for your business. And so making this clear is step 2. We cannot align and anchor our decisions unless we have this clarity and intentionality. And so I use in my coaching program, it's called Find Your Flow. It's a workbook where we clarify what is your why, what is the words that define your brand, what are the words that define who you are, what problem are you solving, what pain points does your audience have. You need to take the time to journal some of these things out. Make your vision really known and clear. If you don't, if you need some tools and help with that, please reach out. I would love to be able to give you some of those tools. I have plenty of them. But take the time now to journal and get that stuff down. And so asking yourself, does this decision align with my long-term vision, with the vision I have down, is a question you need to ask yourself. Am I making this choice out of alignment with my vision and who I am? Or is it from my ego because I'm trying to prove something to someone, even myself? Am I showing up truly secure? What is the motive in me making this decision in my business? Is it because of my ego? Or is it because I'm aligned with where I am going? It aligns with my life. It aligns with my values. It aligns with who I am. And it aligns with the vision I have for my business. Tip number 3, create the space for intentional decision making. Great decisions are not easy to make in chaos. Let me tell you, when my husband and I try to make decisions, like in the car, when all 4 kids, blah, 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 there is some real truth to overstimulation as a parent. And my husband and I crack ourselves up when we try to talk and our kids are just like blasting over us. There is no way for us to make peaceful decisions and really good decisions in a chaotic environment. We've learned that we have to say, hey, we're going to have to table this and talk later because we can't make a good decision here. This is not the environment for it. So a couple tips for making sure that you're creating space for those intentional decisions is 1, making sure that you're allowing yourself the time and sleep on it. I loved when I worked with my realtor. She always said, like, we're not buying this house today. You're going to go home and you're going to sleep on it. The truth is I would have bought probably 25 homes if I wouldn't have gone to sleep that night and woke up the next day, because 99% of the time I hated the house when I woke up the next day. So allowing yourself some time to sleep on things, if possible, is really, really wise. The second thing is making sure that environment is peaceful and calm, and it's a focused environment, and it's not something that feels stressful or conflicts with your emotions. Now, we don't always get to choose our environments. We don't always get to control those environments, but I always say do the best you can. One of the reasons I'm really particular about my office space is I want to make sure there's nothing there distracting to me. It allows me to focus. It encourages my creativity and doesn't take away from it. So do an environment check where you are making your business decisions and make sure it really allows for a calm, peaceful place. Okay, so lastly, filter. So we have time, allow yourself time, do an environment check, and then lastly, filter, which I also use the term anchor, but you should use questions like, is this choice actually solving the real problem, or is it like a bandage on what I'm feeling? Would I make the decision if no one else were watching? Is this something I would do for myself, or am I doing it for other people? Using questions as a filter to get down to the anchor of your business, like, is this me? Is this for the right reason? I would suggest having like go-to questions, like, is this choice solving the real problem, as a filter. So those three things alone, and this tip number 3, creating the space and the time for internal decision making, allowing yourself that time, allowing yourself to have an environment that is calm and allows you to focus and make a clear decision. And lastly, asking yourself those questions. So to recap today's episode, SIP and HALT are acronyms that you're going to use before you make any decisions. These are like your flags waving in the air saying stop. If you're stressed, insecure, pressured, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, you should probably not make this decision right now. Number 2, anchoring your choices with clarity and alignment, making sure that you're not making decisions. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, stressed, insecure, pressured is step 1, but then making sure that your vision is clear and you know who you are, you know where you want to go, and you know what problems you're solving is step 2. Step 3 is creating this space for healthy, intentional decision making and having the right questions to ask yourself. So make sure that you write these acronyms down and you use this framework this week. I would love to hear from you what your biggest takeaways from today's episode was today, maybe the storytelling or the acronyms. Feel free to share with me on Instagram or social media, YouTube, wherever you're listening to the podcast. I would love to know what has stuck with you or what you're wrestling with or support you in any way. And remember to make sure you are sharing, subscribing, and continuing to follow along, because I am committed to helping you have the good business that you desire and show up truly as the best version of yourself in your business. See you later.